$9 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
My husband has always been the one we depend on. He's a great dad, loves the outdoors. But lately, he hasn't been himself. He tried to hide it, but I can tell he's struggling with his mental health. I called the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
988 calls and texts are free and confidential with skilled caring support 24/7. No judgment, just help.
988 saved my husband's life.
Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session, and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and follow your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's an exciting day, the loaded hour. The Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty. And when Jake is away, Kim and I, producer Jake and I, have a whole lot of fun in the process. Today, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. And I'm going to give my officially final prediction because I have been known to change them throughout the week in the past. I tried to do it once the game started in the past, but I was told that that wasn't allowed. So up until game time, I'm allowed to change my prediction. All right, the opening kickoff. I'm going to give my final official prediction for Nebraska versus Indiana. Here's the elephant in the room. There's a world where Nebraska is 6-1 after this weekend. Like, to me, this is a momentum game. This is like Colorado. Colorado was such a momentum game. It wasn't a ranked opponent. It wasn't a Big Ten conference game. Matt Rule called those first 3 games like preseason games. No. That was a momentum game. That's what Indiana is. We win this game on the road, number 16 in the country, 6-1, going into Ohio State. It's a big-time momentum game. There's a world where this time next week, Nebraska's sitting here 6-1, ranked, getting ready to play Ohio State. I know it's the big noon kickoff. Do you think there's a world where game day would go to that Nebraska-Ohio State game, Jake? If we're 6-1?
Yeah, I'd have to double check the schedule, but they usually go with what's on their network. But I could see it. I could see a possibility.
That's right. The whole Fox ESPN thing. Oh, okay. Can't work together, I guess. That's how business is. All right. I digress. But there's also a world where Nebraska's 5-3 in 2 weeks. And I know nobody wants to talk about that. If we lose to Indiana, and we're big-time dogs to Ohio State, can't pull off the upset, we're 5-3. That world exists too. So I'm going to give my preview, prediction, analysis of Nebraska, Indiana. And there's some things that Nebraska needs to do a little bit differently on offense. They've got talented, skilled guys. They've got big linemen. They've got experienced linemen. They've got a talented quarterback who is the biggest question mark coming into the season. But guess what? He's been the most consistent thing we have on offense. You look at the Rutgers game. That's the only game where he hasn't played really, really well. Like, we have 4 talented running backs, okay? I'm still going to say that I think Emmett Johnson needs to start. And I found out something interesting yesterday when I interviewed him. He only had 1 Power 5 scholarship offer coming out of high school. And I'm like, that's why that guy gets overlooked. Coaches want to play the best players, and Matt Rule is anybody, as much as anybody or more, is going to play the best player. But it's easy to get caught up in, this is what this guy did in high school. This is what this guy was, how highly he was rated. 4 or 5 stars, 92 stars. That guy had 1 Power 5 offer. If it's ever close, I'm willing to bet a coach is going to go with the best player. But if it's ever close, they might err towards somebody else. I think Emmett Johnson, and I'm not saying it's some gargantuan difference between him and our next best back. I think he's our best back, yet he tends to get overlooked. That's the only thing that I can think of. That's not the topic of today. Just learned that yesterday. Had a chat with Emmett. It was a great chat, great interview. All right. But the topic of today is a couple of things. Number one, my official final prediction for Nebraska, Indiana, the breakdown, the analysis, learning a whole lot more about the Hoosiers. Nebraska's offenses, they're not living up to the talent that they have on offense. I've talked about a bit of an identity crisis. Are we a run first team? Are we a pass first team? Are we just a balanced team? I think there's an identity crisis, but I think there's some things within the play calling that need to be different. All these lateral passes, all these things behind the line of scrimmage. Those things tend to either get you 10 to 15 yards or negative 2 or 3 yards. Okay? But also there's a world where Nebraska's 6-1, and there's a world where Nebraska's 5-3. This is such a momentum game. I want to talk about the 6-1, 5-3 thing first, because if Nebraska beats Indiana, pretty simple, pretty easy. All right, we're 6-1. We beat a ranked team. Now we're going to be ranked top 25. Who knows? Maybe top 20. I don't know. A lot of things to be excited about. A lot of the people nationally are all of a sudden going to want to jump back on board the Nebraska football click train. With all due respect, they do a phenomenal job, but they kind of disappeared after Illinois. So for me, that's an easy thing to talk about. That's an exciting thing to talk about. I'd love to do the whole show on that. Just Nebraska being 6-1, getting ready to play Ohio State. That'd be great. But let's talk about what nobody wants to talk about, the potential of Nebraska being 5-3. Not to be a downer, not to be negative, to actually be the opposite. Let's say Nebraska plays a great game in Indiana, goes to overtime, 3 overtimes, great game, lose by a point. Okay, both teams play well, they just happen to outscore us. Let's say we play Ohio State, play them within a touchdown, great game. Everything, went well. They just happened to be better on that day. Nebraska's sitting here 5-3. Well, here's why I want to bring that up. Because they're both very real-world potential scenarios. Don't overreact to either one. Look at the rest of our schedule. Look at USC. I could see us winning that game after a bye week. By the way, after a second bye week for Nebraska, they should be uber healthy and fresh. I could see us winning that game. I could see us losing that game. I could see us beating Iowa. I could see us losing to Iowa. I could see us beating Wisconsin. I could see us losing to Wisconsin. A lot of people are going to say, we're going to lose to Ohio State. We're going to beat UCLA. Like they're givens in the bag. Let me remind you, Alabama, Vandy. You never know what's going to happen. But my point is simply this. There's 4 games left on our schedule that could legit go either frickin' way, starting with Indiana. If we're 5-3 in a couple weeks, let's say we beat UCLA, we're 6-4, you get bowl eligible. There's still a world where we end up with 7-5, 8-4 wins. You look at Wisconsin, you look at Iowa, you see strengths, you see weaknesses, much like when you look at Nebraska. All I'm simply saying is if we're 6-1, the hype train's going to come. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Big time momentum. Don't overreact to that. As exciting as I will be on this show, I will be so loud, talking so fast, there's no way producer Jay can take a nap that day because I'll be that excited. But if we end up 5-3 in 2 weeks from now, don't panic. There's still a world where we easily make a bowl game. Can't believe I said that word easily, but there's a world where we still end up with 7 wins, 8 wins. There's nobody left on our schedule except for Ohio State that we're going to be a big dog to. And with the exception of UCLA, there's nobody that we're going to be a gigantic favorite over. This season, there's 4 games that could completely go one way or the other. There's 6 because this is college football. Let me remind you, Alabama, Vandy. My point is simply, no matter what happens, there's still a chance for Nebraska to win anywhere from 7 to 8 games. As exciting and as big as this weekend is, don't overreact one way or the other. That's all I'm saying. And if we come in to do the Adam Carriker show on Monday in Indiana, and we beat Indiana, and we're 6-1, and we're ranked top 25, top 20, Jake's going to have to pour some ice water on my head to calm me down because I'm going to be so excited. And maybe he could replay this segment for me. Adam, don't overreact one way or the other. If we're 5-3 in 2 weeks, same thing. That's all I'm saying. With Nebraska's offense, here's what I've noticed. The sweeps have worked with Ja'Cory Barney and a lot of these lateral plays, sideways plays, which I've never been a fan of in my life. Nebraska's offense growing up was the exact opposite of the lateral sideways offense. It was downhill, blue collar, in your face, smash mouth, knock 'em back football. I know that's not exactly who we are today. The offense is different. I get it. Personnel is different. I understand. College football isn't the same. I comprende. What I'm saying is if you look at our last few games and the inconsistencies, we have a lot of lateral passes, swing passes, and sweeps to the side. And I've noticed they work close to the end zone because defenses tend to bunch in to stop the inside run. But away from the opponent's red zone, they don't work so much. Go look at the stats. Go look at the facts. When we have success, it's when we're running the ball downhill. It's when we're throwing the ball downhill. The moment we try to go lateral, unless we're within the 20, because defenses aren't bunching in at that point, until we get to the 20 or inside their red zone, all of a sudden, we either get 12 yards or we get -2. We're not the type of offense that can come back from 2nd and 12 very often. If you run the ball and get 3 yards on 1st down, and you run the ball, get 3 yards on 2nd down, all of a sudden it's 3rd and 4. You throw the ball laterally, hoping to get a big play outside, and I'm not saying you can't ever do this. I'm saying we do it too much. But you get tackled for a 2-yard loss, now it's 2nd and 12. Now you've got to throw the ball in a predictable situation, incomplete pass, now it's 3rd and 12. Nebraska's success rate, look at the past couple of games, Purdue and Rutgers. Second half Purdue, first half of Rutgers, we converted 50% of our 3rd downs. Look at the first half of Purdue, we were 0-6 on 3rd down. Look at the second half of Rutgers, what were we, 2 of 9, 2 of 15. Look at the play calls in those halves. It's a lot of lateral, hocus pocus, trick-em-dick-em type stuff. I'm not opposed to never doing it. We just do it too much. What is our identity? We've got to be blue collar, in your face, smash mouth, play action pass, protect the young quarterback. Here's the other thing. There's not a whole lot of intermediate passes. It's either right around the line of scrimmage or deep over the top. And look at Pro Football Focus rankings of Dylan Raiola. Pretty good all over the board, except the intermediate passes. Anywhere from 10 to 20 yards. Not great because we don't do it. You look at Indiana, they get the ball to their playmakers. And I'm going to go through a lot of their stats here in a second. In space, in the intermediate routes, and then they've got room to move. And they got some athletes, and they make big plays, yards after catch, yak. Nebraska hasn't had a lot of yak this year. It's either right around the line of scrimmage, which doesn't always go great, as I just alluded to, or Biv go over the top plays, and we've had a little bit of success with that. How many plays have gone over the intermediate pass routes? Not many. I think it's contributed to our lack of consistent success on offense. And when your most consistent player is your freshman, then you're telling me that the other players, the experienced guys, are the ones not being consistent. And to me, that comes more back to the play calls. Does that make sense, Jake?
Yeah, it is. And it is interesting. I think that's going to be a big factor this weekend is that is, and I wonder to get your thoughts, not to flip it on the other side, is that the 3-3-5 defense going into this, because Indiana does do a really good job of yards after catch. And I was just looking it over in the first, with the captain too, is that Nebraska does only have one 100-yard receiving performance this year. That was against UTEP. So some of that yak yardage should certainly help. We're talking about this too with Matt Rule the other day. He's talking about needing explosive games or explosive runs would really help out that run game. Nebraska just hasn't had a whole lot of that this year, and I'm glad you kind of pointed that out.
You're either going big over the top, which is high risk, high reward, kind of like going off the top of a 20-foot Hell in the Cell Shout out to Mankind.
Yes.
Notice he never did it again, though. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Hell in a Cell, Mankind, Undertaker, 1997. And if you just hate wrestling, you know I've gotten 3 wedding invitations since last week, by the way.
Have you really?
Just randomly out of nowhere. I'm just going to shout that out.
Fall?
First of all,
Fall?
yes.
Yeah.
First of all, wow. Second of all, selfish. It's football season. How dare you? I digress. Way to get way off topic. But it's either over the top or lateral stuff. It's very rarely in the middle. Intermediate passes, which is where you're going to get a lot of the yak. And I know a lot of the screens and the swings, and you're going to get that too. But again, for me, if I'm Marcus Satterfield, I'm looking for 3-4 yards of play, and I'm looking for third down to be 3 yards or less. I'm not looking to risk a 2-yard loss and then a predictable pass situation on second down. Now we're 3rd and 12, and good luck with that to just about anybody. I don't care if you're Nebraska or you got frickin' Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that's a bad example because he's got a coach fired, but I digress. Topic for another day. Let's look at Indiana just a smidge. All right. Well, we're going to start with special teams because that's the first note I have here. They haven't kicked a lot of field goals this year. They're 4-4 on the season. They definitely have the advantage in special teams coming into this game anyways. I hope the game unfolds in a different manner. They're averaging 44 yards per punt. All right, Maryland was the best offense they played this year, and they gave up over 400 yards of offense to Maryland. They are the number 6 defense in the country. The issue was Maryland couldn't stop Indiana's offense. All right. But here's the thing with Indiana's defense. They rank top 10 nationally, number 6, but they let me read this again. They have faced 4 offenses. They're ranking the bottom 30. That means they're 103rd or worse in the country because there's 133 teams. There are not many teams who've had success getting pressure on Indiana's quarterback. Okay, the strength of our defense, I would argue, is our front 7. We got Ty Robinson. We got James Williams, 4 sacks apiece, tied for second in the Big Ten Conference. We got to get pressure on them. Something Mo Berry talked about earlier this week when he joined me on Tuesday. Curtis Rourke, Ohio's quarterback. He's 6'5", has 14 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's been sitting back there all day, but he's on pace for a career season so far. Okay, and I mentioned, unlike Nebraska's receivers, Indiana's receivers have had a lot of yak, yards after catch. All right, you look at, they have 5 different receivers that have double-digit amount of catches this year. Their top 2 receivers are averaging 18 and 21 yards per catch, respectively, and have combined for about 900 yards receiving so far this year. Curtis Rourke, before he ever stepped foot in Indiana, had a lot of experience. 33 starts, threw for 7,000 yards before he ever got to Indiana. Now he's completing 74% of his passes and has thrown for 1,700 yards so far, which is on pace for a career high for him. There was another stat. I'm trying to find it here. I can't find it. That's okay, though, because I want to talk about their running backs. They got 4 really good running backs, and I got the chance to meet Justice Ellison, the Wake Forest transfer, a guy who got an offer out of Wake Forest from Arlington, Virginia, out of high school. Took it right away. Kind of shut down the recruiting early. You think, oh, Wake Forest, okay. Shut it down right away. Could have got way more offers to even bigger name schools. Same thing. Enters the transfer portal, boom, Indiana hits him right away. He says yes right away. I talked with him at Big Ten Media Days. He was uber impressive. He's their lead back, right? They have 2 backs who carry the load, and then they have 4 backs who are really good. Their 3rd and 4th string running backs are averaging almost 7.5 yards per carry. Their top 2 running backs who share the load, okay, are averaging almost 6 yards per carry. This is an offense that's used to being explosive. I watch Indiana's O-line on film, and I'm curious because they've only given up 6 sacks this year, and they rank top 10 in pressure rate allowed. In other words, they're one of the 10 best teams in the country and not allowing their quarterback to get pressure on him, which is where Ty and James and the front 7 and the black shirts got to get pressure on him. But when you watch him on film, I personally see an average offensive line. I just have seen subpar competition so far. But it doesn't matter what I see. It matters what happens Saturday. That's why I'm curious to see what happens Saturday. This is our defensive line's opportunity to really show out. And honestly, it's Indiana's offensive line's opportunity to show out and show what they can do. Indiana's 6-0 for the first time in 50 years. Now, they got a lot of transfers. 11 of their starters aren't just transfers, but they're from Ohio. All right, talking about Curtis Rourke and Miles Cross, who are at Ohio the past 2 years, where Ohio won 10 games apiece. The last 2 seasons continuously coming into this year, and 9 of Indiana's other starters are from James Madison, a team that won 11 games a year ago. That means 11 of their starters started not only elsewhere a season ago, but for non-Power 5 teams, but they're used to winning. They came in expecting to win because that's what they're used to winning, and it was up to them to prove whether they could do it at a Power 4 level. They've shown they can do it at a Power 4 level. Now the question is, can you do it against good Power 4 competition? When you talk about most impressive turnarounds, you look at from a season ago to this year, then I'll give my prediction. We'll hit the break. You got Navy, who went from 5-7 to 5-0. They've already matched their win total from a year ago. Army was 6-6. They're 6-0, matched their win total from a year ago. Nebraska 5-7. We're 5-1. BYU 5-7 a year ago. Already surpassed their win total from last season. They're 6-0. Miami 7-6. They're already 6-0. And Indiana, probably the most impressive one, 3-9 to 6-0 already. Here's my prediction. And I'm not confident in it at all. I just have a hard time fathoming. They're not more athletic than we are. We are bigger than they are. It comes down to coaching. I have a hard time fathoming, as good as Indiana is, and I could be completely wrong on this. There's a little bit of my heart in this prediction because this is such a coin toss prediction. I'm going to go with Nebraska, and here's why. I have a hard time fathoming that Curt Cignetti at Indiana in football, with all due respect, we're not talking about basketball, in football, would have already, in a matter of a few months, leapfrogged Nebraska and Matt Rule, who are in the middle of year 2. I have a hard time fathoming that they would have done it at Indiana in a much shorter time frame. So I'm going to go Nebraska 28, and I'm going to go Indiana 24. This segment was supposed to be shorter, but alas, it was not, as it tends to be, because this is the Loaded Show. Don't go anywhere, and I'm going to be joined by Garth Glissman right after these messages.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Child care providers know that little kids are a big responsibility, and you work hard to do your best for the families who depend on you. But help may be available. If you own or work at a child care program, you may be eligible for Nebraska's School Readiness Tax Credit. Find out if you or your program qualify, because in the work you do for our youngest kids, every dollar counts. Learn more at schoolreadiness.taxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out, because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out, with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card Spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry, this deal ends soon. See Home Club for details.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, and it will be windy. We'll see an afternoon high around 75. Tonight, mostly clear skies and breezy, with a low around 54. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies. It will be breezy again, an afternoon high around 78. I'm meteorologist Kyle Buck from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The electrical workers of local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal? A dog, a cat, or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov/vetsgetpets to learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The temperature and leaves are falling daily, so that means it's time for a new pair of shoes for the fall season from Brown Shoe Fit. Now, through October 31st, take $15 off any regular priced fall shoe and boots. Brands like Keen, Obos, Echo, Taos, and Atrex, all $15 off. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. This is the sale that you've all been waiting for. So get down to Brown Shoe Fit on 66th and Q.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. I'm going to bring out my special guest here in just a minute, Mr. Garth Glissman. But real quick, this segment of the Adam Carriker Show is brought to you by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue at 11th and Cornhusker, open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burnt end sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, a full slab of ribs, a half-smoked chicken, and much more. Plus, incredible sides. Get fueled for lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, located at 11th and Cornhusker. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but barbecue is easily one of my favorite foods, and nobody does it better than Mulberry Barbecue. All right, I want to bring on my special guest, a man who I crossed paths with at the University of Nebraska, former Nebraska teammate on the football team, a quarterback. He also was on the Nebraska basketball team. All right, he joined the National Basketball Association in 2016, has been vice president of basketball operations since 2021. He was recently named the Southeastern Conference Associate Commissioner for men's basketball before joining the NBA. He was a partner with Omaha law firm, Kutik and Rock. I hope I said that right. Garth can feel free to correct me if I did not. But Mr. Garth Glissman, how you doing, my friend?
Adam, thanks for having me on. We go back a ways, man, almost 20 years.
We do, dude. I remember trying to get you, but you had the green jersey on, so I couldn't touch you in the scrimmages. I remember that. I remember you were on the basketball team for a little bit. And ever since we both left, every time I turn around, like you're doing big things. So I actually want to start with lots to talk about, from NBA to SEC to the things of that nature, the things you're involved with. But being a partner at a law firm, what's that like, and how did that come about?
Well, I didn't have the athletic career that you did, Adam. I wanted to be a first-round NFL draft pick, but I never got any higher than third string on the depth chart. So, you went off, you were a first-round NFL draft pick, and I went off to law school at the University of Nebraska, and then went to go work for a law firm in Omaha. I didn't grow up in a family of attorneys, so I interviewed for one law firm. They offered me a job. And I took the job, and I stayed with them until it was time to go off to the NBA.
All right. How did the connection with the NBA come about, and what was it like? What's it been like working with the NBA with what you're doing there?
Well, the NBA joked with me when I first started interviewing with them that they didn't typically hire people from Nebraska. So they put me through the ringer of a 6-month interview process, but then, they finally decided I guess I was worth a shot. But the reason the NBA reached out to me is, so when I was in law school, in my first 2 years of law school, I did a lot of sports radio, local sports radio. So I've got a heart for what you're doing right now, Adam.
Okay.
And I did a lot of high school football and basketball games. Almost every Friday night, and then during basketball season, Friday and Saturday, I was the color guy for Chris Schmidt, and we did local high school football and basketball games. And one of the local high schools in Lincoln heard me broadcasting basketball games and asked me to be the head basketball coach at their school for my last year of law school. And that was College View Academy in Lincoln. And so I decided I would do that for my last year of law school. I was living in Lincoln. The law firm that I already accepted a job with was located in downtown Omaha, so I didn't really think that I'd be able to continue coaching beyond law school. But I fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with the impact that you could have on young men through sport. And so I moved to Omaha, but continued to coach in Lincoln. I ended up coaching for a total of 8 years while I was in law school. And then 7 of those years I was practicing law, 4 years at College View Academy, 4 years at Parkview Christian School, both in Lincoln. So I lived and worked in downtown Omaha, would drive to Lincoln every day for practice. And over time, I started to do a little bit of sports-related work in my legal practice. Not much, but enough that it was in my LinkedIn profile and on my firm bio, and proof that those key words are important. That somehow tripped a wire at the NBA, and they reached out to me over LinkedIn. They were looking for someone who had a combination of both legal experience and practical basketball experience. And like I said, somehow I tripped a wire at the offices in New York. They didn't typically hire from Nebraska, as they told me at the outset. But after a 6-month interview process, they offered me the job. I took it, moved to New York City in May of 2016, got married a few months later. My wife, who's an Omaha native, moved out to New York to join me. So here I was, a Nebraska native, married to a Nebraska girl, and we were living in Manhattan. And it was a great life until the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and everything changed. At the NBA, we were remote for about 2 full years. That allowed me to actually get back to Nebraska. So for almost 2 years, I was working seemingly all the time for the NBA, but we were working remotely, and I did so from Omaha. So that's how I got to the NBA. Proof that LinkedIn and technology, they can be fascinating resources. So if there's any young people out there listening, LinkedIn's like a resume that the whole world has access to. And for me, it was life-changing.
That's actually good to know. It's very interesting. To be more specific, it says that you are from Lincoln. You went to Waverly. So I've been to Waverly. I've been to New York. Let's just say the culture shock must have been quite interesting, because it's a very, 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 very different world in New York City. I don't mean that in a bad way or a good way. It just is what it is. So that had to be a bit of a culture shock for you. But I'm kind of curious what you're doing now with the SEC, how that role came about, and how your time at the SEC is currently going.
Well, I consider Lincoln to be my hometown, but just back to your earlier comment, I actually grew up on a small farm. So you want to talk about culture shocks, not just Lincoln to New York City, but small farm to New York City.
Yep.
But, one of the things that I've learned, whether I've been growing up in Nebraska, living in New York City, or now working for the SEC in Birmingham, is if you treat people well, work hard, you've got a chance. And so I've always, I think that's one of the things I always admired about you, Adam. You were a highly touted recruit. I was a walk-on who was lucky to make the travel roster. But I think you and I bonded because you're a good person. You treat people well. I've always tried to do the same myself. And so I've tried to take that mentality that allows you to make friends with and connect with the locker room of young men from people all over the world. And I use that whether I was at the NBA or the SEC. In terms of what I'm doing now at the SEC, I was hired first and foremost to oversee SEC men's basketball. And the charge, in my view, is really simple. I'm trying to help take SEC men's basketball to the same level as SEC football. And we're making some progress in that regard. 9 teams ranked in the preseason top 25. We had 8 SEC teams make the NCAA tournament last year. Of course, we had Texas and Oklahoma this year. Texas was a tournament team last year, so you add them to the next 9 of our current 16 teams are coming off an NCAA tournament berth. So that was my primary focus. But one of the responsibilities that I had at the NBA, at the league office, was overseeing the NBA's injury reporting policy. And my boss at the SEC, Commissioner Greg Sankey, was aware of that. And given all of the risks associated with sports betting, shortly after I started at the SEC, he asked me to design a system similar to the injury reporting system that I oversaw at the NBA. And so after about 8 or 9 months of work with SEC athletic directors and other administrators and coaches at all SEC campuses, this past fall, we rolled out the SEC student athlete availability reporting policy, which is akin to injury reporting in pro sports with some differences. And so that's allowed me to have some involvement in multiple SEC sports, which has been exciting because the policy, like I said, it's intended to guard against the risks associated with sports betting, particularly the pervasive demand for inside information. If some rogue actor affiliated with the sports betting space can get inside information about whether a player is going to play or not, or injured or not, that could have value to someone in the sports betting space. So we think that transparency is the best way to address that. So we have a policy in place for football, men's and women's basketball, and we're also going to implement it for baseball as well. The policy started in football this fall, and so for every SEC football game, we issue the first availability report of the week on Wednesday night. We then issue daily updates on Thursday and Friday night, and a game day update 90 minutes before the game. There are some other conferences that have availability reporting policies, but our policy is robust. It's NFL-like in the sense that there's multiple reports leading up to game day. And so it's the first of its kind in college athletics. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of designing that policy. And it's also, as I mentioned, given me exposure to an array of SEC sports on both the men's and women's side. I happen to know a little bit about football. I know very little about baseball, but it's been fun. That's one of the beauties of college sports is the breadth of the sports offerings. And so I've had fun interacting with football coaches and baseball coaches. And then, of course, I feel right at home with basketball coaches.
All right. What was, if you have a favorite memory, or what are some of your favorite memories from your time at the University of Nebraska, whether it be on the basketball team for a season or the football team? What sticks out to you?
Well, you joked about me being in a green jersey, and the reason that you didn't get to hit me, Adam, is you were just a few years too late because, you were a couple years younger than me. And so when I started at Nebraska in the Coach Solich era, quarterbacks were fair game.
Yes, they were. I remember that.
The starter.
Yep.
Like you weren't hitting Eric Crouch in practice, and then Jamal was the starter. So like Jamal wasn't getting hit in practice. But for my first 3 years on the team, quarterbacks were mostly fair game. As I didn't work my way too far up on the depth chart under Coach Solich, but I was third string my whole junior year, and so I made the travel roster, and so they would put me in a green jersey a little bit. But it wasn't until Coach Callahan came that, it was more of an NFL model and that the quarterbacks were off limits all the time. That actually was hard for me because I in hindsight, I think that I was thinking more and just instinctively playing less. You always hear about quarterbacks or football players. It's like that first hit kind of helps you shake some of the nerves off, and then the rest of the game can be instinctive. So I actually like the physicality of practices. I think that helped me settle in and be more instinctive. So I would have much preferred not having a green jersey, even though I wouldn't have liked to get hit by you. But all things considered, I much preferred the physicality of the game. I look at someone like you, Adam. You had such a distinguished career. You think of all the people that have come through the University of Nebraska and played at a really high level over the years, but then you shrink it down to the number who were first-round draft picks. So you're in a very unique category. I only played in a handful of games over the course of my 4 years. When I got into games, it was mop-up duty. I never attempted a pass. I was always handing the ball off. Coach Solich almost let me attempt to pass the first time I played in the game, but we were up so big. He's a classy guy, so he felt like that would be a bad look. So my memories are very different than the memories that you would have created at Nebraska or in the NFL. So for me, a lot of the memories were just being a part of the team, walking through the tunnel, being a part of the game day experience in the stadium where I had grown up selling concessions just to get inside. As far as the highlight of my playing career, there was one spring, the spring of 2003, which was probably the peak of my time, very modest career, where I actually got a start in the red-white game. And so I was the starting quarterback for the white team in the 2003 red-white game. And in hindsight, that was probably the top of the mountain for me in terms of my athletic career. Never got any better.
Yeah, I actually remember that. And I remember that because 2003 would have been my redshirt freshman year. And that was when I finally started to feel a little bit comfortable. I came from halfway across the country, so there was a little bit of an acclimation process for me just from moving halfway across the country. There's a picture of me awkwardly jumping over an attempted chop block by, I think it's a running back. I forget who it was. We didn't have names on the back of the jerseys for red-white spring game. But they're trying to chop block me. I'm awkwardly trying to jump over, but you're the quarterback in the picture. And so every once in a while, we'll be going through pictures from yesteryear, and that picture will pop up. So I actually have a picture from that day, and I actually kind of remember that day pretty well. But hey, man, you're doing big things.
That makes me feel good, Adam. And you know why I say that? Because I got a chance to play against you that day. That in that same game, we had a little bootleg around the goal line. And it was a called pass play, but I was trying to kind of find somebody open in the end zone, made a late decision to run, and was running, too timidly in hindsight. Stuart Bradley hits me, knocks my helmet off, and the front page of the Omaha World Herald the next day was a picture of Stuart Bradley hitting me, knocking my helmet off. And I mentioned Stu because both you and Stu went on to have NFL careers. So for guys like me who didn't make it, to think that in practices or a spring game, we got a chance to compete with guys who went on to be pros. That's pretty cool.
Well, man, it's pretty awesome because you're doing big things, from being a partner at a law firm to the freaking NBA to the SEC and trying to do big things with SEC basketball. So I appreciate you taking the time. And as always, let's keep in contact, my friend.
Thanks for having me on, Adam. Take care.
Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. We'll be giving predictions to the biggest college football games this weekend: Tennessee, Bama, Texas, Georgia. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Hi, I'm State Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised right here in Lancaster County. I understand the value of hard work by being involved in our family business. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. Nebraska families and business owners need lower taxes, more affordable health care, and a great education system. That is why I fought for the largest tax cut in Nebraska history, reduce the cost of health care, and help pass the biggest investment in our public schools. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th, paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
The temperature and leaves are falling daily, so that means it's time for a new pair of shoes for the fall season from Brown Shoe Fit. Now, through October 31st, take $15 off any regular priced fall shoe and boots. Brands like Keen, Obos, Echo, Taos, and Atrex, all $15 off. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. This is the sale that you've all been waiting for. So get down to Brown Shoe Fit on 66th and Q.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Tailored Life is your headquarters for all things fall in Bennett. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home, both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of potted trees, mums, and more. Plus, porch pots and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
It's the greatest time of the year again. Kickoff is here and football is officially back. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog, and this year you can too. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with promo code EARLY, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code EARLY to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
If you're not advertising your business on your vehicle, you're missing out on a lot of potential clients, and it's time to change that. Automotive Solutions excels in vinyl wraps and company IDs. They offer BG services with free warranties available, and they service all cars and diesel trucks too. They also service fleets, and if you push snow in the winter, get ahead now with your vehicles. Don't forget, ticket listeners receive a service discount on preventative maintenance. Call Automotive Solutions for an appointment at 531-249-5600 and stop by at 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers?
Check.
Chips?
Check.
Icy cold beer?
Check. Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread?
I can't stop eating it.
Rico, relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Fuhrer's cheese spread today in most local grocery stores.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. At Foundation Repair, we fix basements.
Child care providers know that little kids are a big responsibility, and you work hard to do your best for the families who depend on you. But help may be available. If you own or work at a child care program, you may be eligible for Nebraska's School Readiness Tax Credit. Find out if you or your program qualify, because in the work you do for our youngest kids, every dollar counts. Learn more at schoolreadiness.taxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got to dive right into it and light this candle because we got about 5 minutes to give some college football predictions. But I want to give some final thoughts to Nebraska versus Indiana. Here's a random thought I forgot to mention earlier. Random stat. Dylan Raiola against the zone. 90.2 passing grade against man, 44.4. I'm telling you, we got to change up what we're doing a little bit and attack the intermediate passes more. Also, Nebraska's home stadium, Memorial Stadium. Illinois' home stadium, Memorial Stadium. Indiana's home stadium, Memorial Stadium. Indiana sells out their home stadium for the first time in 3 years as the Huskers come into town. All right, let's look at Arkansas, LSU. What's the spread? Who's favored, Jake?
Let's see. Arkansas, LSU. We've got, I'm supposed to have this ready for, 2.5 for LSU. Sorry, Arkansas, the home team.
All right, Arkansas could easily be 5-1 right now. If you watch that Oklahoma State game, they really outplayed the Cowboys, but found a way to unfortunately lose in overtime. All right, Arkansas's defense is 82nd in the country when it comes to defense and giving up big plays. Meanwhile, LSU is top 5 in the country when it comes to passing offense. LSU has the 4th best pressure rate in the country defensively. Arkansas is one of the worst in the country protecting their quarterback, 129th in pressure allowed rate. LSU, all right, is 100% a playoff contender right now, but their pass defense is 102nd in the country, and they're 77th in America when it comes to explosive plays allowed by their defense. You look at Arkansas. This is a fringe game for them. They could be 4-3 after this game, which doesn't sound so great, or they could be 5-2 with 2 top 10 wins, and they're going to be favored in a lot of their games after this going forward. Could they somehow become a college football playoff contender? Beat top 10 Tennessee, beat top 10 LSU if they win this Saturday. Big game for Sam Pittman, who is 1-5 at home versus top 10 teams as the Arkansas head coach. Now LSU has had a road game. Okay, now it's their time to go on the road. Last week, they had a bye week. They had Ole Miss coming in after 7 straight games. Now they're going on the road after a late night, tough overtime victory versus Ole Miss, and Arkansas is rested off a bye. For that reason, I'm going to take the Hogs with the upset. All right, Miami, Louisville. Who's favored there, Jake?
Miami is favored by 4.5.
All right, here's the deal. Miami's defense has been giving up big plays all year. Listen to this. Imagine if this were the Black Shirts, how mad Husker fans would be. Virginia Tech had 6 plays of 20-plus yards versus Miami. Cal had 7 plays of 20-plus yards versus Miami. Cal had 4 plays of 50-plus yards versus Miami. 4 plays, over 200 yards of offense. And then another almost 150. That's just 9 plays for 350 yards of offense versus Miami's defense. Now, Cam Ward's one of the best in the country, completing 69% of his passes, has not had a game where he's thrown for less than 300 yards, 23 total touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. Meanwhile, Louisville has allowed 3 of their past 4 Power 4 quarterback that they played against to throw for nearly 300 yards. They always give up 300 yards. Cam Ward doesn't throw for less than 300 yards. He actually averaged 370 pass yards per game. There's going to be a lot of points scored. Translation. All right, I'm going to take Miami. I have no faith in either team. Miami could easily be 4-2, but Louisville actually finds ways to win. And whether the ACC is helping them or not, Louisville finds ways to lose. Miami, whether they get help from the ACC conference or not, are just finding ways to win. And I'm going to go with the Canes with about 1% confidence. All right, Georgia, Texas, Jake.
Oh, we got Texas favored 3.5.
All right. Georgia's back is against the wall. This is their game where they got to come out like a wounded, cornered animal. All right. They've got a lot to prove in this game. This is the team that's given up 19 points per game. All right. 512 yards of offense per game. That is not a normal Georgia defense. They're a notoriously slow starting team this year. Now, Texas looks like the best team in the country. A lot of people think they are the best team in the country. They've had 20 straight games with 25-plus points or more. Quinn Ewers, 72% of his passes he's completing. All right. 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I actually thought it would be a little bit better than that, but he's playing very well now that he's back from injury. Texas has the number one defense in the country, but keep in mind, they've played such dynamic offenses as Michigan and Oklahoma. Georgia's back is against the wall, which is what makes me leery of Georgia. Texas, on the other hand, hasn't been pressed yet. They're fresh and they're at home. Texas has 6 pass catchers that have had a catch of over 40 yards and 7 ball carriers with a rush of over 20 yards. And that's after losing 2 of their better running backs in the preseason. But Texas's last win versus an AP top 25 team was pre-Y2K in 1999. So who am I going to go with? I'm going to go with Texas. Georgia just doesn't look like Georgia this year. Jake, last one. 3rd Saturday in October every year. It's Alabama and it's Tennessee. What's the spread?
Crimson Tide favored by 3.
Jalen Milroe, just 2 weeks ago, was like a top 3 Heisman contender. I don't even know if he's in the top 10 at this moment. And I don't know that it's entirely his fault. Their defense is awful. The secondary is young. Barely beat South Carolina. They can't run the ball, which is crazy considering how good their offensive line should be. All right, he's completing 73% of his passes, which is really good for a guy who's known for running more so than passing coming into this year. All right, let's see what else we got here. Tennessee. Texas has the number 1 scoring defense in the country, but Tennessee has the 4th ranked scoring defense in the country. I don't think either team is going to score over 30. All right. Man, I'm trying to put this in a nice way. They both are college football playoff likely teams, but they both have gargantuan holes, and I'm going to put it that nicely that way because I'm trying to be nice today. For me, this was the hardest one for me to pick because they're both so unpredictable. They both look like top 5 teams at times this year. They both look like they barely belong to be in the top 15 at times this year. I'm going to go with Alabama simply because ever since SEC play has started, Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava, their young, talented, future first-round, most likely quarterback, has just struggled. He's young. He's regressed. Hopefully he gets better in the future. I trust him the least out of everybody, and I trust Jalen Milroe just a little bit more. One final thought as we head out. Travis Hunter went on a podcast and talked about if he had the amount of carries, all right, that Ashton Gentry has had up at Boise State, he'd have more rushing yards. Well, here's the interesting thing. Yards after contact this year. Travis Hunter, a wide receiver, has a respectable 170 yards after contact. Ashton Gentry, the Heisman frontrunner at the moment, anyways, 914 yards after contact. That's almost 1,000 yards after contact. I'll tell you right now, either one of these guys is in a different year. They're both the Heisman frontrunner. Nobody's ever done what Travis Hunter has done. And if Gentry breaks Barry Sanders' records, nobody's ever done what he's done. 2 top contenders. Can't wait to see how it unfolds. Until next time, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the bones.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English